This is Alex J. Aguiar, and you are listening to Pod With Me.
Ready.
On this episode, from being a porn star, running the porn industry, to no longer being in the porn industry, what's that like? Get ready, because the pod starts now.
It was very hard for me to do it, but obviously I did for 7 years, and I created a company and made a lot of money off of it. The story that I always gave to my parents was that my business partner and I would go to the Middle East and buy like old wooden doors and turn them into furniture. And my stepmother was just asking me, pegging me. I said, well, it's not what I really do. But they both like freaked out. They were like wondering. And I said, well, I run a porn company.
Ready.
Ready?
Let's go. Roll sound.
All right, Sean, how are you?
Hey, good, and you, Alex?
I'm good. So, Sean, tell us who you are. Who is Sean?
I don't know. Probably on my fifth life. I'm trying to figure out who I am again after another, I think it was 4 years away from South Florida.
Okay.
Came back and trying to figure it out again.
I know Sean for many years now. I think since I was 22, around there.
Yeah.
Or
Yep,
21,
so it's been 20
right?
years.
20 years. Oh my God. I can't believe it's been 20 years. But I've seen Sean throughout the years reinvent himself. Career-wise, Sean, tell us a little bit about your career, because you've had a very fun career, I would say.
I don't know if anything that I do is considered a career. I've always wanted to be able to enjoy my work. And so probably when you met me, I was working at the University of Miami, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you were.
Yeah, and after that, I went through my 7 years of running an adult entertainment company.
Sean has been in the porn industry, and he ran the porn industry as well for 7 years. We want to know how you got into it, how you got out of it, and how difficult is it to find work, and if you're always constantly worried if your boss or the business, the corporation you work for are going to find out about your past, because not every job is accepting, and how people are, they're not that open-minded. So tell us your journey through the porn world.
Gosh, okay. Well, let's see. To begin with, I had a boyfriend that was involved in the porn industry while I had a normal job working at University of Miami. And, he convinced me to do like a scene or two, I think, with a company. And that was supposed to be it.
It couldn't have been that easy. He told you, do these scenes, and you were like nothing, and you were born to do this.
No, I wasn't. When I entered the industry, I did like one or two scenes. It was very difficult. I didn't like anybody around. I was very picky about who I touched, who I had sex with. It was just strange to me. But like I said, I've been around escorts and sexualized people my whole life, or not my whole life, but a good part of my life, that I understand them. I get it. And I'm sometimes almost jealous that, they can be sexual with people, and make money off their sexuality. It was very hard for me to do it. But obviously I did for 7 years, and I created a company and made a lot of money off of it. So a lot of people think I am one of those people, highly sexualized, can have sex with whoever I want. Dick goes up no matter what, but I'm not.
Okay. Well, with some pills maybe. But let me ask you something. So I want to know about your first day on the set. The first time you did it. Tell us what was that like, from coming into the set, walking in, from getting ready, from all that whole first time.
Gosh, Alex, that's so long ago.
Yeah.
But well, it was with my ex,
Mm-hmm.
my boyfriend at the time, and so it was comfortable because I was with him. And so then there was a third guy in the scene, and it was just the cameraman and maybe sound and lighting, and nobody really bothered us. And I was attracted to the third guy, and so was my boyfriend. So it was just natural, and it was comfortable.
Okay.
So
And
that the first time was comfortable. I
okay.
can tell you there were many uncomfortable
All right,
times.
but before we get to those uncomfortable times, tell us about that first time when that light went off, when you knew it was recording. How did you feel? You know, even you were attracted, you said, to the third, but how did you feel knowing that you were being recorded? Were you able to block that off your mind?
Yeah, because it was a different time. That was, gosh, almost 20 years ago. I'd say about 18 years ago now was the first time. I believe I was 28. I'm now 45. So you can do the
Okay.
math. And it was a different time. There wasn't, people weren't Googling as much, I guess, back then. Um, there wasn't as much social media back then.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's the difference. It was easier to just let slide off my back and go, oh well, nobody will find out. My name is something different. You
Hmm.
can't Google my name and any of this come up.
Okay.
Even back then, Google was just something that people rarely did. Um,
So you were very careful.
so I wasn't careful. You didn't need to be careful back then. I think you need to be a lot more careful now with all the social media that's around. But yeah, I didn't think about it
Okay. And
as much.
all right, so here you are doing porn. You're with your boyfriend. No jealousy in between each other. You guys, obviously, there's people listening to the show that are probably thinking a third, and this, and they're not, they're not part of that world. So we gotta express to them, how does that happen? How do you become attracted to a third, and how is there no tension between you and your partner?
Um, I don't know. It's strange. I mean, with the rise of the religious right and this whole family values and everything like that, I think that there is a part of the society that wants to make um, like my part of society. I don't know if I consider myself a different part of society, but other forms of society, the way people interact is bad, and not only different, but bad and immoral. I didn't really think about it so much, number one, because it was work. Um, it wasn't like I was like super intimate, like kissing and having feelings towards the third person.
Hmm.
My ex wasn't either. It was a scene. It was semi mechanical.
Society imposes a way of being that it's not for everybody, and everybody should choose how they want to live their life. And if a third is fine for them, and there's no tension, and hey, everybody should do
Yeah,
what they want to do, as long as they're not hurting anybody, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And
I
it's behind closed doors. It's not like we're out, you know, on the corner of a street, in front of everybody doing anything.
You're just in front of the,
you're
the computer.
well, no, you're in. Well, that's another thing. We should be able to watch what we want within certain terms.
Ah.
Anyway, that goes into other things that go into my head because, yeah.
Were you ever worried anybody found out at work while you were doing these films?
No, I wasn't worried. I think my office knew something was a little fishy. It was so funny. One the secretary in my office, every back in the good old days of the adult entertainment industry, we would always go to Vegas when the electronics convention, CIS, was there. So that's when the porn convention was.
Hmm.
And so one time I was going to Vegas, and then she was Googling it, and she goes, "Oh, are you going to CIS?" And then when she Googled it, obviously when you Google CIS, then porn comes up because they're notoriously at the same time. And then she goes, "Are you going to porn?" And I didn't say anything, but she smiled and giggled, and
Because she
you
saw
know, and
she
when I
probably saw one of your
yeah,
films.
we never spoke about it, Alex. It never came up, but she, you know, she winked at me, and she was an older religious lady.
And she winked at you.
Exactly. And yeah, and so she had, and that's, you know, when it comes to me and religion, those are the kind of people that were, you know, that hold their religion to heart. You know, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. And you know, she was that way. She kind of reminds me of my of my stepmother, who was very religious also, but accepted me for who I was,
Got it.
because that's, you know, what she took from her religion.
Tell us the first bumpy moment that you were gonna about to tape and you were like, ah, you didn't want to do it, or it felt uncomfortable, or you didn't like the person. Well, I'm sure there was a first moment for that one.
It wasn't so. What I didn't like about working with these other companies, well, after the first, I did two scenes, you know, back to back with this company, and then they gave me a contract offer to do 10 scenes in a year, something like that. I can't remember, a certain amount of money. And I came back to them. I said, that's not enough money. And they came back with a higher offer. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, I'll do it. Um, but
And this was 20 years ago.
yeah,
So how much
no,
we can say now? How much
yeah,
were they paying back then? Because everything's changed.
17
17.
years ago, 17 years ago.
Uh huh.
I was making like 15 to $1,700 a scene.
Okay. And a scene is like what? It's taped in less than a day, right?
Oh gosh, it was like 8 hours of pure hell.
Wow.
um you're a man, you can just imagine the, you know, what it's like of the stress of being, you know, having a hard on for I don't know how long, you know, it's
And
just
the things you probably have to take,
not
right?
fun.
And you had to.
That's where it comes back to the whole sexual, you know, people that are highly sexualized. I was jealous, like, hey, you could keep it up for that long, good for you, like, hey. But I wasn't that way, and the scenes were taking like 8 hours. It was like an 8 hour day, you know, 8 hour day of work. um and that's what I didn't like. And then also we, you know, we were matched up by photos, but we could not meet each other before the scene. And with me, that was problematic because I like to, you know, not just, you know, this is kind of what's happening with social media, you know, with apps and everything now, is that you see somebody in photos, but you meet them in person and they could be, you know, somebody you don't particularly like
Yeah.
just by the way that they act or move or anything, smell. But there were scenes where there just, to me, there wasn't that attraction.
Got it.
And it happened like three times. And so I don't know, one day I just got the idea that I'm going to just take control of my own image and start my own company.
That's great. And how many films did you do before you got to that idea?
Probably about 10.
10? Okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
and
I was coming up with the idea in my head, but everything uh, came to, you know, it's like there are times in your life where something happens, and with me, it was the University of Miami. My supervisor, well, it was a research doctor, left, and then when he left, my job left, and I was given a severance package. So I took that money. I also flipped a condo in South Beach. I sold the condo and made a $90,000 profit. So I took that money. So I had and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take $50,000 and invest
wow.
into a website and a company. And I popped off to London and I made a contract with a company over in London to pay for my flat in London because London's kind of expensive. Um, and they were supposed to be part of my production company. And then they didn't live in London. They were like based in Manchester. And the guy that, and basically it was one guy that just wanted to be on the set all the time. The guy can't come back in and just watch the scenes. Doesn't work that way. Not with my models.
Got it. No, it's a distraction for them as well.
Oh gosh, these are things you didn't know.
So here you are, you invested this money, you left your job, you did after 10 films. Any of your family ever found out?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah.
What was that first conversation like?
And of course, everything with my family and myself seems to be dramatic. I was probably in the height of my business making, oh gosh, I was like grossing 26,000 a month.
Okay.
I was flying all over the world, filming these guys, creating these scenes. And one time I had been in Europe for a month, and then I was in Lebanon for a bit. And I came to see my dad and my stepmom for Thanksgiving, I think. I went to Idaho to visit them. And the story that I always gave to my parents was that my business partner and I would go to the Middle East and buy like old wooden doors and turn them into furniture and buy a bunch of like antique Middle Eastern furniture and ship it back to the US and sell it and blah, blah, blah. That was the cover story to my family. And my stepmother was just asking me, pegging me like really hard, like, oh, so what kind of wood is it? And and like, I just like fumbled on the answers. And I said, well, it's not what I really do. And then both of them, I'm sitting in the back seat, they're in the front seat. They just whip their heads back at the same time. I'm like, no, you watch the road. I'll tell the story. But they both like freaked out. They were like wondering. And I said, well, I run a porn company.
Whoa.
And my stepmother was like, oh, thank God. And then my dad's all like, yeah, we thought that you were like working for the CIA or the State Department or something because you're always over there in the Middle East. And I'm like, what, you're relieved that I'm running a porn company and that I'm not like, clandestinely working for the CIA or something?
Which that sounds better.
I was shocked. I was shocked. My stepmother was a very religious woman, and for her to be relieved. But both of them really thought that I was doing something quote unquote dangerous.
Oh, okay.
Well, little do they know that, some of the things I was doing were, I filmed a movie in Lebanon, and that was a little dangerous. So yeah. I was doing dangerous things.
Yeah, but let them think that the other way, because it saved you from, because if they weren't thinking that and they weren't relief, I probably think things would have turned out differently.
Well, then, that just came into, that's what I did. And they didn't care, and then, they're straight and older and from a different generation. So they had questions,
What were the questions? Were you a top or, did
they
they ask
weird,
you if you were
like,
a top or bottom?
No. I mean, they didn't ask like a ton of questions, but how does everything work?
Tell us, Sean, how does everything work?
Well, with running the company, how do you upload the scenes? How do you find the guys, which is a weird thing for them to say because my dad is like anti everything but white American male.
Were they relieved after you told them how much you made?
To them, it wasn't the money. I think with them, it was that I could never do anything right in the eyes of my dad unless it was get a job when I was 20 and stayed with that job until I retired. Come on, Alex, that mindset. The 1950s, 40s mindset.
Life has changed. I mean, there's no corporation and there's no people as employers, and there's no employees that stay at the same job forever.
Yeah.
Well, it's very rare.
They're out there, Alex. We don't know many of them, but they're out.
Well, it's very rare nowadays for the younger generation, you know.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
funny. So all right. So Sean, here you are. Your parents. Okay, you got your parents out of the way. They know already. You're running this company. You're making good money. You didn't think of your producer, editor friend to take along with you, but okay. But anyhow, so you're. I would have done amazing promos. So, um,
you
all
you
right.
would have probably been a good business partner, but
Yeah, you should have told me. Oh my God. All right. So, we probably would have won Emmys. Okay. So, all right. So you're here. You're running the business. When did the business start to slow down?
with the internet, um, like online video streaming with advancements in internet speed that you could watch, videos on your laptop. More websites came up, and then something called tube sites also. Well, first it was websites. So when people started streaming videos on their laptops, that is when DVD sales started to go down. And DVD sales for me were about $15,000 a month of my business.
Wow.
And it very quickly, within 8 months, went from 15,000 down to 3,000 a
Wow.
month. And then it went to like almost nothing. So within a year, I lost $15,000 worth of my income. Then tube sites, then 2008, 9.
Tube sites are free sites for free.
Free sites where you can watch porn for free. That became, I was sending out cease and desist emails whenever I saw one of my one of my scenes up on their site, or on these sites.
Mm-hmm.
So it became a bit hectic. And when you lose like $15,000 worth of your income, and then, even web sales start to go down, and I wasn't the only one. It was the whole porn industry was like, hey, we've lost so much money. We need to restructure the business. And part of restructuring of the porn business was lowering the model fees.
Yeah.
And there was a standoff. I remember the standoff. It was almost 8 months where almost no porn was really being made, because the producers, the studios were saying, listen, you're not getting $3,000 a scene anymore. You're getting 1,000, not everybody made the same amount of money, but still it was cutting, the model fees in half, basically.
Yeah, and everybody had to probably reinvent themselves. And did you do any websites that you had to charge to watch per hour? Did you try that out?
No, I did. I had all these contracts. Oh, believe me, Alex, I had all the contracts. I had so many. It wasn't just me selling DVDs and my website. I had contracts with video on demand sites, with French television, with Italian television. Oh, my contracts went above and beyond just the website and the DVDs. But everything just started crashing because of the web.
Okay.
Because people could stream right on their laptops porn.
Yeah.
So, and then.
So you went out of business along with Blockbuster Video.
Probably a bit after.
Okay.
My ex-business partner, who was my best friend for such a long time, you probably remember him. I'm not going to say a last name, but Rich.
Yeah.
I had to kick him out of the business. I caught him lying to me.
Oh no.
And a contractor in Australia was telling me, "Oh, it was a mess, Alex. It was just such a mess."
It got very ugly.
Because it's like, how can your best friend just screw you over?
What did he do?
There were deadlines for promos, so promo packs. We would send out promos to affiliates. Affiliates would bring in clients or subscribers, basically, and so the promo packs are going out without my content in them. and it was going on for like a month. So I'm losing subscribers.
Why were you losing subscribers?
Well, it was a typical ebb and flow of the business. You would lose some and gain some, lose some and get, they would go to another website. They'd cancel their subscription and go to another website.
Got it.
People went around. And so what you need to do is create more content, new content, and then put it out there for the affiliates, and if an affiliate really liked your content, they put it on their page and go, hey, you got to watch this, take a look at this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I wasn't getting any promo for like a month and a half, but I had already destroyed everything because I believed my business partner that he was turning everything in on time. And then one of the contractor's ex-employees showed me what actually happened.
Oh, wow.
And when I was in Australia, I had to make this difficult call and say, hey, you need to, that's it. And I think it's more painful that I've lost a best friend.
Mm-hmm.
That to this day, I think I saw him maybe 6 months ago. Just glancing out my side eye, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
So you got rid of him. You got rid of him because he lied to you about turning it in on time. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and did he have an excuse why he would turn it in late?
No excuse.
Yeah. So then now the porn industry is going down. The DVD sales no longer. The shift in how you do things changed in the industry. What was your next steps? You didn't want to keep on trying, like invent something else in that. No,
industry. I was at some point. It was a struggle to even make $6,000 a month, and that was gross. So going from like $25,000 gross to $6,000 gross. I went to Cuba and filmed. That was my last hurrah. I found a buyer for the business. But even before that, Alex, the boyfriend that got me into the industry committed suicide.
The one you did the first scene with?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Probably 3 other guys, it's all within 1 year, committed suicide that were close to me, that were in the porn industry.
Oh.
Yeah, it was emotionally, psychologically, damaging.
Yeah.
And so everything's swirling together. It's not making the money that it used to. Lost my best friend, got him out of the way. Friends of mine are committing suicide. I knew why. And, people will try and cover up how it wasn't because of blah, blah. Yeah, it was.
It was why? Why do you think it was?
It was the sex industry, and you couldn't make money off of it, and not every porn star is an escort, and not every escort's a porn star.
Yeah, and they didn't know they couldn't reinvent themselves, and they were probably on drugs, and that led them to that, right?
Well, my ex wasn't on drugs. He wasn't happy with his life, and the last time that I saw him, he had moved to New York. I saw him. He was not the happy person that I remember. Mm-hmm. And it was because he was having to escort, and that was not, I knew that was not him. Mm-hmm. And he did not like doing that. But it was so he can keep making money. And he was smart. He was a biologist in Hungary.
Wow.
But he never,
pursued it.
It's a cycle, Alex. Like, we get older. What are you going to do? Ask somebody that's doing porn in their 20s. I'm going to live forever. Like back in our 20s, we just thought, we'd be our 20s forever. Now what? I'm 45.
Yeah, it went by fast, huh?
Like, where the hell?
Yep. Flew by.
I sold my company it's almost been 10 years. I sold my company when I was 36. So that was the end of porn.
All right, so the end of porn, now that you finished porn, and it was very depressing towards the end, and you couldn't make those $6,000 a month. It was a hustle. We went from 25 to 6,000, and then people at home are probably wondering, what did you get afterwards that you made that 6,000 a month?
It's like...
that didn't sound so bad to many people, I'm sure, especially nowadays.
Yeah, Yeah.
What was your next steps? What was your plan?
I didn't know. I was lost. I sold the company. I bought a house cash in Detroit.
Okay. You were living there?
I lived there for 9 months. Yeah.
Got it. And what happened to Miami? Why not Miami?
I couldn't find a house for $25,000 in Miami.
Not even in Homestead? Okay. Oh my
I
God.
mean, I was in specifically an area called Dearborn Heights, and it was in a nice neighborhood, and it was 10 minutes from downtown Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, Homestead's like 45 minutes from Miami. But still, I don't think you could find a house down there. And I just needed to be away. Miami is where I ran my company,
Yeah.
Miami Beach, to be more specific.
And okay, so all right, so you're in Detroit for 9 months. Did you work at Starbucks?
No, I was a flight attendant.
You became a flight attendant.
I became a flight attendant.
Wow. At one point in your career did you start getting recognized?
Oh gosh, like within a year.
And what was that like?
I'm very shy. I don't sound like I am, but I'm one of those people that likes to get into the club without waiting in line, but I'm not one of the people that needs to be seen by everybody. I like to crawl into a corner and do my own thing with my own friends, and don't want people coming up to me and going, "Oh my God, blah, 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 blah." So I had to kind of change my personality.
Okay.
Because somebody comes up to me and recognizes me. "Oh my God, I loved your blah, blah, blah." I was like, okay, you can do it, Sean. You can talk to this person. You can come out of your shell. And that's what went through my head, because I'm not an outgoing person.
You didn't ask what was your favorite scene?
Gosh, yeah. Yeah, and people would ask questions like that. It blew up because there's a part of it. When I was selling my company, I was also a substitute teacher with Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
Wow.
So
All right. So
that
that's okay. So, whoa, you forgot to give us that little bit of a detail. Okay. What was that like? Did it cross your mind if a coworker will recognize you?
In the beginning, it was to make money. But I would say after about a month, I was like, wow, I really like teaching. I liked interacting with the students, debating with the students. I did not have a good middle or high school time in my life.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed teaching and seeing kids learn. So I was just a substitute teacher, and I started to apply for jobs, although they needed math teachers, and I wanted to teach social studies.
Okay.
And those are the hardest, jobs to come up. Yes, I think at one school a teacher didn't know who I was, and we spoke about it, and he said, just don't say anything about it. Eventually, I don't want to talk about how it happened, because there are going to be two sides of it. But a school found out about my past, reported it to the state of Florida to have my teaching license taken away. They did, but you can always appeal. And so I went to the appeal.
Okay.
And because I didn't want that black mark on my record.
Okay.
So I went and appealed my case to the state of Florida Board of Education, and 3-2 voted for me to have my teaching license reinstated.
Okay.
So I have my teaching license reinstated. I still, for a tiny bit, looked to try and become a teacher again.
Yeah.
But then I moved on. I got a job with a nonprofit,
Okay.
and that started another part of my life.
Wow. I'm sure that making all that money, you saved money, right? Because you look like you're a saver. I wouldn't have saved anything, but you, you look like you saved money.
Not a saver.
No?
Gosh. There was some money that was saved,
Yeah.
but
Looking
I
looking back
mean,
now, you would have saved a lot more.
no, you only, yeah, this is going to sound horrible. You only live once.
Yeah, that's what I say.
I had this amazing life, Alex. I don't know if you knew me. Like when I was like flying to Brazil and then to Argentina and then back
No,
to
I
Europe
was
and
never
over
invited.
here. And
Now, I don't want to know you now. I want to know you then. Not just kidding.
but it was, I had chances to, I got contracts with other companies. And it's like, okay, well, we got that contract. Well, let's go to India. My business partner was part of it too. He had to go everywhere that I went. And we traveled a lot. We saw a lot of the world. We did a lot of exciting things together. Like I said, only business partner, really good friend, completely different people. We just got along.
Yeah, you wouldn't. If he will come up and apologize now, would you accept this apology and just turn the page?
I don't know if I'd take the apology. I'd talk to him about it because it's not just, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I accept. It's a little deeper than that. I think there are a lot of things he wants me to explain and I need to explain about what happened. And I expect the same from him. So it would be more like, okay, let's hash this out. And once we hash it out, then we can move forward. If he wants to, I tried to reach out to him. The sad thing is his best friend, before he even knew me, him and I were out having drinks one night in New York. And that was the last time anybody saw him. On his walk, I left him. I said, hey, I got to work tomorrow. I've had my drink limit. Got to wake up early. He goes, okay, let's chat tomorrow. He stayed, had a few more drinks. I think on his walk home, he had a heart attack and died.
Wow.
And I reached out to my ex-business partner on Facebook Messenger. And I'm like, listen, this is what happened. I'm sorry for your loss, because I knew it was his best, his friend. And he never replied.
Wow.
At least a peep, like, thank you, something. No.
Nothing. That's why you have so many lives, because you worked for the school system, then you worked for a porn, then you ran the porn, and you went all over the world, and then you come back, then you're a substitute teacher, then you're in the nonprofit. Like, wow. Who does that?
Had a house in Detroit.
And a house in Detroit, out of all places. I thought it was because Madonna was born there, but
no.
What nonprofit were you working for?
Oh, I don't want to say.
Oh, you don't want to say. Was that a good or bad experience?
It's nothing. It's nothing. One, I can't say, probably. And two, I can tell you I worked for Gay Men's Health Crisis in New York.
Okay.
I loved working there. I had a great time in New York. That lasted for like 2 years.
Okay.
And then I get a call that I need to go back to California. So I basically left and went back to California. Well, I'm from California originally.
Yeah.
And I told you the story that my dad and my stepmother knew my story, the whole story with them. My mom never knew. My mom, and I love my mom to death, she never asked really what I was doing. She was just happy that I was happy. In 2009, maybe a little bit before that, showing signs of Alzheimer's. End of 2016, it became very serious. So I went back to California to be close to her and fix up my childhood home. And I spent 3 years in Northern California until she passed away. And yeah, she's in a better place now. So then that's where
Okay.
I'm at now. And I just moved back about a month ago.
You had mentioned that that you got into COVID-19, and you no longer have it.
When it hit me, I just had these weird headaches,
Mm-hmm.
like sinus headaches that weren't painful or anything. They were just weird thickness in my sinuses. And then that night, my body slammed me down. I think I slept for 12 hours, and I was hot and cold flashes all night long. My bed was wet. The next day, I was a little weak, and then by evening, I was okay. And then by the next day, I was perfectly fine.
And you got tested, and it was positive?
I just got tested 2 weeks ago, and it came back positive for the antibodies.
Oh, okay, for the antibodies.
I want to get a test to make sure that I'm not one of those people that's going around carrying it and not having any symptoms and can give it to other people. Yeah.
Grossest moment on the set while recording porn?
Oh God, Alex, seriously? I can't name the name of. I don't want to name names of actors. It was in Lebanon,
Mm-hmm.
and I was filming in a bombed out building, and somebody pulled out somebody's protein shake, and it was like gross. And
Out of where?
his ass.
Ew. And you had to
And
pretend? You had to continue filming after?
we weren't done with the scene.
Ooh.
So I had to get the guy that was topping the guy to like he almost puked. He like almost puked, and I had to get him away. I had to clean everything up. Of course, I always come prepared for anything crazy that would happen. But that was probably the moment that, because it wasn't on a set. It wasn't safe, in a safe area. It was a bombed out building. Anybody could have come around at any time. We shooed some people away earlier that were like parking and getting too close. So it was, gross and nerve-wracking at the same time.
What was the hottest? That was the one that turned you on the most that you couldn't help it?
Through all of my I was filming in Serbia. Unfortunately, the guy that they were doing the scene together, he's one of them that committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then they were both attracted to me, but they were attracted to each other. At that time, I wasn't filming. I still hired somebody to film.
Mm-hmm.
So they dragged me in to. So it was hot because they
dragged you in.
They didn't drag me into the scene because I told the camera guy, I'm like, I'm not in this scene. But we stopped filming and played, and then went back to their own filming, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was interesting.
All right. If let's say the industry came back again, would you consider running it again, having your own business?
No, absolutely not.
You wouldn't get into it again. What advice do you have for those people out there that want to be in porn?
Have option B. Have a backup. I mentor so many people in that industry right now. Trying to help them find something to do besides porn. I mean, some of them just don't, they're invincible. They're in their 20s and they're not going to get old. But others that are, in their 30s, they're going, okay, yeah, I see. It's not going to go on forever. Yep. I help. I do my best. If anybody asks for my help, I help them.
Looking back now at your life, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
I would just say, watch out for the rough patch. Watch out for the business partner. Don't trust them. Because you don't know what it's like going down the other path. And you've lived only one path in your life. What can you tell your 20-year-old self? Oh no, don't get involved in that business. Would I have gone down, stayed, let's say, gotten another job with the University of Miami? It just wasn't me. The life that I led, the life that I have led, I think is the life that I should have led.
All right, so Sean, thank you so much for being on the pod. And one more thing. Don't fall off the pod.
Oh my God. We are so not coordinated on that.
That's a wrap.
All right, everybody, go right now to your app store and search for Pod With Me. We have our very own app. You can also check us out on social media. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, and until next time, don't fall off the pod.
Ready.